Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Hello. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode. Thank you for joining me. It is Tuesday, the 7th of October. Now, you will be relieved to hear that I have not lost my keys since the last episode, but I did manage to lose my phone in the car. And given that I only have a really small hatchback, I thought that was quite an achievement. And I have now tested out the Find My feature on my laptop, so I can now find my phone in future. Now, following the last episode on Friday, I was recording outside the vet practice where my dog was having her teeth done and Mo was having a little bit of a checkup and some surgery. So the great news is that the dog now has far better teeth than me. She looks absolutely pristine. I'm very impressed. I was almost tempted to ask the vet if he would do the same for me. It would certainly be cheaper than actually going to a dentist. And Mo, my little hen, she actually had surgery. She was pretty much, she was in a very, very bad way on Friday. And I just had this gut feeling that she had an impacted crop. And so I persuaded the vet to do a little bit of surgery, open her up, fish out some bits and pieces. And she has made an excellent recovery. She's doing so well. She's put on quite a lot of weight over the weekend and she's eating like a horse. So that is absolutely wonderful. Now, thank you very much. One of my lovely listeners in Ireland sent me a message about a rose supplier who does David Austin roses. And I had a look and the prices were just, oh my goodness, they were so incredible. Like €12 for a David Austin rose, which I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I have no idea why it's so expensive here in the UK. Anyway, the problem is that the company are in the Netherlands and they don't ship to the UK after Brexit, which is just another kick in the teeth, as if Brexit wasn't bad enough. And it's just ironic that all these imported flowers still come in, but we can't get fantastic plants in. So I'm going to have to do a bit more of investigating on that. But if you're listening, thank you for the tip. Now, I have actually bought my first pair of reading glasses over the weekend. Seem to have just sort of aged about 10 years in the last few years, but it is making things a lot easier. I haven't made the palette table this weekend. That was something that I said my other half and I were going to do this weekend. We have watched the video quite a few times. We've worked out how to do it, and we've found a stockist for the little wheels to put on the bottom so that we can wheel it around. And I've also fished out an old sink that I have got that I'm planning on cutting a hole in, well, one of the tables that we're going to do and install a sink in it. Now, it's not going to be plumbed into either any incoming water or outgoing water because I haven't got water on the mains up there. But I should be able to figure something out. And I've been hanging on to this sink for, I don't know, I think I fished it out of a skip about 2020, so it is well overdue to be putting to use. Now, it's been quite busy up on the plot. It seems to be a bit of a phase at the moment, which is good because there's plenty that needs doing. I've emptied half of one of the compost bins and added the material to the new beds that I'm making in the area that Nigel cleared the turf for me. And I have to say, like, it's not often I blow my own trumpet and I actually say that I'm good at doing something, but making compost is like my thing. I absolutely love doing it. I suppose it's not something that I have anything to do really. I suppose I do because I like doing all the layers and everything. So I do put a bit of thought into it. And when I make them as best as I can. So I get the kind of the balance right between the green material and the brown material and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this compost bin has been about a year in the making. And I thought I really, really want to get some of it out to put on the new beds. So we took a lot of the dry material that was on top, shifted it onto another compost bin, and dug out all the compost, and it was absolutely incredible. I was expecting to find a rat hotel at the bottom of it, because the rats are very kind and they set up home in the compost bins, or they have done in the past. And I know they're in there because they turf out a lot of the compost from the bottom and they sort of leave it in big piles on the outside of the compost bin. So I know they're in there. But they weren't in there this time and there was no evidence of them. And in fact, I haven't seen any for weeks. And when you add that together with the fact that I haven't seen any squirrels at all this year, it makes me a little bit, well, suspicious about where everything is, and a little bit sad if it's because people have been putting poison down and everything's died. But also suspicious because like rats come and go, and normally if you get rid of them or evict them or whatever, normally another rat family comes along and takes up residence. So I'm a bit surprised that there's kind of no rat family waiting on the sidelines ready to take over, but it's just making me a little bit suspicious. Anyway, I've sort of made a tidy new area where the entrance is. I did say last week that I'd cut that buddleia down shortly before I lost my keys. And I'm making a new path that is going to run the entire length of the plot. Because I've been making the flower plot area piecemeal this year and last year, it didn't get made all in one go, so there wasn't a proper structure to it. And what's happened is that it's all got a little bit ad hoc, and things have been planted sort of in the way, and things that sort of cropped up. Like for some reason, I ended up with hardy geranium and a sedum and a buddleia, all completely in the way. And then the zinnias, which were on the other side of the path, kind of crept forward out of the shadow of the trees into the sunlight. And so when you're trying to go down the entrance path, you just sort of have to run this obstacle course of plants and flowers being in the way. And obviously, the last thing you want to do is to be knocking into things. And I'm not the skinniest person, I'm not skinny at all. And especially if I'm pushing a wheelbarrow, you want to be able to get down without knocking things. So I've made a bit of an effort with that, and that's looking much better. And the dahlias are still flowering like mad. It's amazing. I really didn't think that they still would be, but they are. They're absolutely beautiful. And I've been practicing making hand tie bouquets with them. So that's nice. And then I'm going to have a go at drying some. I have sort of tried this already, and it's just not working for me. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing wrong, but they seem to just kind of rot and go a bit soggy rather than actually drying. So I need to do something about that. I visited a flower shop today, not like a florist shop. It was sort of flower shop that did flowers and bouquets and stuff, and it also did candles and plates and paintings and knickknacks and stuff like that. And it was very, very beautiful. And I wanted to go in because I don't I don't really go into florist shops because it's weird and the staff think you're weird if you don't buy something. But this was the sort of shop with other bits in it that you could just go in and look at the other bits, and there was no pressure to buy anything. And I thought I'll go in and see what they've got at this time of year. And the salesperson minding the shop was like, "Oh yeah, it's all local, everything's local and seasonal." And I'm looking at the product like, that's definitely not local because none of that would be flowering at this time of year. It's really weird. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just something that people say to other people when they don't know, but they don't think that you know any better. What was interesting though, they had heads of hydrangea in there for £12, which I thought was interesting. The really big mop head ones. It's always interesting to see retail prices. Anyway, what else did I have to tell you about? Oh, yes. So, part one of an unknown number of parts of my first J. Parker's order arrived yesterday. This is the order I made last week when I decided that I would buy more perennials, and J. Parker's had a sale on. So, I bought some bits and pieces. And then you start getting emails from the company saying, "Great news, your order's been dispatched," but they don't tell you which bit. So then you just have to wait. Now, I ordered lots of 5 centimeter module plug plants this year. And I have ordered plugs in the past. I think I said this to you before. They came and they were about the size of my thumbnail. I mean, you can't make it up. They were absolutely tiny. So I was expecting, if that's what it was going to be, I was expecting to have a really small little packet dropped through the door. And I got them, and it was quite a big cardboard box. And inside, the plug's absolutely enormous. So I don't know whether I've made a mistake or the company's made a mistake. I'm not going to say anything because they're beautiful, but they're about 10, well, they're about 100 times bigger than the last lot that I had years ago. And they really are probably about 5 centimeters diameter, which is, anyway, it's amazing. I'm not knocking them at all. But I wanted to get them planted very quickly, and it's not ready for them to go on the plot yet. So I've planted them in some troughs that I just had lying around, filled with compost, because I had been growing some of my straw flowers in these troughs because I was late getting them in the ground. I got some up on the plot, and what with the heat wave and everything, it was just really difficult to get them to go. So I thought, well, I'll keep the others at home, put them in these 3 big troughs with compost, and they can just sort themselves out at home. And all they've done is put on masses and masses of leafy growth. And I don't think they're going to do anything constructive now. So I took them all out last week, the straw flowers, and composted them all. And I was just waiting for something to do with these troughs. Anyway, the little plugs have gone in there. So I had some verbascum and some physostegia, so pink ones and white ones. So that's pretty awesome. I'm quite happy with them. They were very, very dry. I don't. It's a bit odd, really, because they're on quite a fast postal service, so I'm not quite sure how they dried out. Maybe they pack them dry so they don't ruin the cardboard box. I'm not sure. And they were a little tiny bit more root bound than I would want. They had the most astonishing root system on, which is all well and good, but if the roots just go round and round and round, then it's really not good. So I'm going to root prune them a bit before I actually plant them out, and they can go out on the plot and crack on over winter because they don't have much top growth. And I think if they harden off over the next month, then I'll just put them in the ground. And a final thing I wanted to run past you this week, I've been crunching some more numbers, and I'm still working my way through Lenny Larkin's Flower Farming for Profit book, which is eye-opening and fascinating and terrifying all at the same time. And I've just been working through a couple of chapters in the last few days, and I'm kind of getting the vibe that wholesale is not going to be the answer that I think it's going to be for me, just because I don't have very much growing space. I suppose I've got a quarter of an acre under cultivation, and I just, looking at all the numbers and all the stats that I've got so far. I mean, if you listen regularly, you'll know I've been crunching these numbers for weeks and trying to work out how I can make more money from the plot next year. And I'm beginning to think that I'm going to have a retail channel to the business, because I just not entirely sure that I'm going to get anywhere doing wholesale, which was a decision I made. I wanted to stay away from all the scary stuff, like making beautiful hand ties, wrapping them up, putting labels on them, going to market with them, dealing with customers. I just sort of wanted to steer clear of that. And I thought the wholesale would be perfect, but I'm not sure the numbers are going to bear out that feeling that I had. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time thinking about what kind of retail offering I could make, because I really need to put my big girl pants on here. Years and years ago, before all of this, I used to be like what I would describe as like a proper person with a proper job and a proper salary. And I used to travel for work and, you know, just to have a proper job. Like, and not that this isn't a proper job. I'm not trying to say that. That sounds awful. That's not what I mean. What I mean is I'm fretting about selling some flowers at a market stall. And that is really stupid, because I can do better than that. And before my confidence entirely left the building in 2024, I was capable of achieving more. And I feel like I'm being silly now that I'm getting worried about my ability to sell some stems to some lovely local people. And I think I really need to get myself together and find some confidence to do this and actually just get on with it and think bigger in a way. Like, it's not like me to be so so afraid of doing the most basic thing. So that's what I've been thinking over the last few days. I need to put my big girl pants on and look at some training opportunities and look at where I can add some value to my flowers in order to make more money. Because if I don't, then the whole thing is simply not sustainable and it's not going to be able to carry on because it can't be this much hard work and effort and stress with all the knock-ons in terms of relationships, time away from the plot, being able to, just have time off and enjoy everything. So the business has to pay for itself and the rest so that it is worth pursuing. So yeah, that's what that is really. And that's what I've come to the conclusion I need to do. So I'm going to leave that with you for now, and I shall be back on Friday with another update. And I very much hope that you have a lovely rest of the week and that everything is good with you, and you will come back and join me on Friday for the next episode. All right, catch you then.